Darran, and we're going to do a track by track. A couple of us are going to do a track by track breakdown of our, what could we call it, best of album. And it runs in chronological order, so we'll begin at the beginning, which is 10:45, Amsterdam Conversations. One of the first four songs written by Funeral for a Friend. It was actually already pretty much written when I joined the band, as far as vocally and one guitar part and the arrangement of it. When I joined, I had the task of trying to come up with another guitar part to go with what Chris had already written, so always tricky, and yeah, so I added kind of bits and pieces to it and hopefully embellished what was already there. And yes, interesting song, and I suppose what could be considered the beginnings of what was called the funeral sound, mixing up kind of metal and punk, lots of melody, some aggressive edges to the song, and yeah, an exciting song when I first heard it, and definitely one of the songs that sort of made me want to join the band.
The song this year's Most Open Heartbreak was one of the four songs that we wrote for the 4 Ways to Scream Your Name EP. It was to be our second official release and our first on Infectious Records. It just carried on a thread that we were kind of doing with Between Order and Model. A bit more metallic, I guess, a bit more aggressive, you know, with the riff. I think it was Darran's riff originally, the introduction to the song, so we kind of based it and built it around that and made it a bit more kind of, I guess, you know, a bit more of a metalcore kind of edge before anybody knew really what metalcore was, I think. And the title is just, it's like anything with what we do, it's plucked out of obscurity from somewhere in the dark recesses of my mind came, you know, the concept, and you know, we had a knack for writing, having really kind of interestingly laid out an elaborate song title, so we kind of kept up the tradition for that. It's short, sharp, aggressive, bit of a punk rock edge to it as well, and we actually shot the video for this with a director called Darran Doan, who done a lot of videos for our hardcore bands that we loved, Snapcase and Far, and so on and so forth, Strife, and he came all the way over from California to shoot it in London. So it was one of our first proper, well, pretty much our first proper video we've ever done, and the song's a lot of fun. It's still a lot of fun to play live. It gets the crowd going, so it's you know, been part of our repertoire for the longest time.
Juno, one of the, I would say, staples in the Funeral for a Friend back catalogue of music. Always been a fan favourite and a favourite of ours as well, I think. And definitely a song that had a huge amount of impact, especially the cleverly thought up midsection with Matthew doing his solo spot of Nothing More Than a Line in Your Book, which has now become very infamous, I'd say, and is always kind of sung back by the crowds we looking at to play to. Yeah, but again, one of the first four songs that were written by Funeral for a Friend, and an interesting song in as far as it's not necessarily technical, but it's just there's so much melody in it and so many hooks that it's made it kind of a very memorable song, I think.
Make the best ones a little closer, maybe a bit too close.
She drove me to daytime television. This song was written while our old drummer Johnny was still in the band, and Matthew Evans was still on co-vocals as well. And I remember when the guys who were writing the music, I think Darran and Chris came up with the actual musical ideas for this together. Me and Matt Evans would be in the recreation room where we used to rehearse, just flicking through newspapers and magazines, and we just kind of, like almost like a train of thought kind of vibe. That's how the lyrics came about to this. We just kind of worked off each other and kind of put them all down over the pace of, I think, about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And when we got back into the room, we kind of written, we just kind of put what we'd written to kind of music that had been completed by the rest of the guys. When Matt left, then we kind of, most of the aggressive parts were in the song ended up being kind of thrown out, especially in the turn your camera away from me, whoa parts. I think I'm pretty sure there was an aggressive vocal overlap in those, I think, at some point. Not that I can say for sure, because I don't think we actually recorded that properly, that version. But yeah, it's been in our set. It's one of those songs that the kind of fan base kind of really picked up on. We recorded it for 4 Weeks to Scream Your Name and then for Casually Dressed. And I don't think we've ever actually not played the song. Maybe once or twice, I think, but more often than not, it's been in our set for the longest time. So yeah, another probably classic Funeral for a Friend song.
Escape Artists Never Die is, for me, one of my favourite funeral songs of all time. It was one of the songs that kind of helped us develop, I think, and establish kind of our style, as far as it's a song, I think, that begins in one place and ends up in another place, and in that way kind of comes across like a little bit of an epic, with a very uplifting outro section to it, and as I said, I think encompasses kind of everything that we do well as a band. The melodies, the aggressive sort of angles for some parts of the song, and like I said, it's still one of my favourite songs that we've ever written.
Can't pretend that you're nothing special. You've got to look at all of your options. You can't.
Red is the New Black was a song idea built around the introduction. Really, I think, Chris started playing this kind of quiet introduction part, and I started singing over it with my lyrics that I had from way back when, before I'd even considered singing in a band, and it just kind of came together. Really, the idea of perfection, of people's ideas of what is the perfect way to be as a human being, as a person, the way to look. How, I guess, magazines and media have kind of fed us those perfect ideals of what it is to be a human being, and I just kind of came together quite naturally. Love, it's quite a long song. It's one of the longest that we've done, and we recorded it for Between Order and Model, and then we recorded it for Casually Dressed, and it's just been one of those songs that a lot of bands that we've come across, that we've played with, really love. They've been fans of us. They really love the song. I think it's because it's quite dynamic. It goes from, it kind of hits all the kind of right spots, from the melodic aspects to the aggressive aspects, and the music kind of is a bit of an emotional roller coaster as well. So it's definitely one of the old school favourites.
History Car, one of the first songs written for our second album, Hours, which we were lucky enough to record in Seattle and then mix in LA. It was a very exciting time, but the song has got quite an interesting angle to it, in as far as I think it is an influence of maybe Iron Maiden in it, from the galloping riff that Kathy came up with, and we all kind of, you know, threw in our hands then and added to what he'd come up with. Tapping kind of lick that I play in the choruses and stuff, and again got a real kind of cool outro to it. It was I think our highest placed single in the UK charts. I think maybe number 14. But again, kind of a fan favourite, I think, and a song that kind of is a staple in our lives. Never leave the middle of it.
Roses for the Dead was a song that probably lyrically it was the most difficult for me to write. You know, based on the idea of kind of accepting that the people around you that you've lost, you know, you won't get back anymore. You know, it's the idea of coping with death, grief. I'm not, you know, I around that time I'd be the first to admit that I wasn't really very good at it. You know, I used to be okay at expressing my emotions, but for some reason, over a certain number of years, I feel I lost my ability to empathise a little, and I kind of started to question that, and then that's how the lyrics of the song kind of came about. You know, I'd lost a good friend of mine, I'd lost a family member, very close family members, and I didn't know, I just felt like empty, so it kind of, you know, took me that song to kind of address the reasons why that is and reconnect myself with my feelings, I guess, not to sound a bit, you know, weird, but musically now, it's one of those songs that when you hear musically for the first time, it's just hard to not get those kind of goosebumps on the back of your neck or on your arms, because of the tapping section is so recognisable, I think, and such a kind of powerful motif to kind of start a song with, and it just kind of goes, you know, like, again, it's another emotional roller coaster. It's kind of like in the same league as Red Is the New Black to a certain extent. Just really powerful, really dynamic, really direct songwriting, and I think probably my personal favourite song that we've ever written, I think. The song History was written while we were in Seattle recording Hours. We needed to do, we had just enough songs for the album, we felt, but we didn't have any B-sides, so we felt that on one of the days that we kind of had a little time off, that we would head into the studio and see if we could record a couple of B-sides, write a couple. The two that we did write, which ended up being History and Monsters, ended up actually making the record instead of two songs that we thought might. And they were just literally spur of the moment things. They weren't really thought about very hard at all. They were written out of a necessity rather than, you know, a desire to kind of really be overtly artistic, I think. And it kind of shows that they're quite simple. Both songs, you know, History is quite a simple song, you know, with its kind of, you know, very classic. I think Seattle influenced us there, like, you know what I mean, it's got a very classic rock tinge to it, you know what I mean. And you know, vocally, I'd written a lot of lyrics and a lot of that I really loved, that on trying to vocalize into the tune didn't really fit. I ended up kind of really almost like speed reading my way through the song on one or two of the early demos that we did, almost doing like spoken word, you know, rapping almost, you know, not as if I want to use the word rap, but it was more like spoken word kind of things. but the chorus was there, and we knew it was going to potentially a great, opportunity for being a great song. And once, I worked with Terry Date on getting the lyrical content kind of stripped back a little bit to get the important parts out of it. I think it made all the difference, and again was a song that first touched on the idea of the effect that my community, that my hometown had on me growing up, and the idea of making something of your life, music being definitely a way to kind of something creative with your life rather than it being a dead end thing. And no, it's cool. I'm kind of glad that it's become a little bit of an anthem for us, and I think the video that was made for it really did the song proud, and I think really give us recognition for being more thoughtful than your average kind of rock band at the time, and a bit deeper. So yeah, history, classic. Into Oblivion reunion had a bit of a strange metamorphosis, because it was written for the Tales Don't Tell Themselves album. Originally written, the idea of the song came about through me trying to explain to the guys that I wanted to write a concept record. And the first idea that I came up with, that I'd been writing after, pretty much while we were writing ours, I think I wrote this whole storyline that I wanted to put to music. Grandiose. And I've been listening to Dark Side of the Moon quite a bit, and The Wall, and I wanted to do something similar, something kind of grand, something that would, in the course of one song, take you through the entire theme of a story. And originally the introduction, the orchestral kind of synthy vocal parts, Ryan came up with orchestrated on the keyboard as the introduction to the story. But then when my idea of like a 30-minute long song kind of, I think got people a bit kind of, some members of the band at the time got a bit kind of worried about that, and so we decided to take the best parts of the song, which was the riff, the recognisable Darran guitar part. Once we'd looked at that and realised we could actually make one song out of that part, then we kind of decided to kind of opt for that, and that's where my story of David, the fisherman lost at sea, kind of came into play when we broke the parts of this song down into individual songs. Originally it was called Reunion, brackets Into Oblivion, but because of the chorus being, I said Into Oblivion, I felt that it'd be more recognisable on radio and in the media if the song was called that. It's kind of stupid. I don't want to say that I'm dumbing down for the audience, but some people just go that Oblivion song, so we kind of renamed it that. And yeah, strong, quite big, powerful rock songs, orchestra, London, big famous orchestra musicians in there, and the vocal choir who do all the vocal stuff for the Harry Potter soundtracks and stuff are on there as well. And so we got to spend a little bit of cash on it, and it turned out really epic. It's an epic song and had an epically dynamic video of us getting soaked. So yeah, it's either a good opener or a good closer in that set. So it's now, you can't really put it anywhere else, I don't think. But it gets the crowd pumping, and it's a bit of an anthem. So it's pretty wicked.
Away. Basically it was Ryan's baby. We pretty much kind of put the whole thing together, the whole track, very cleverly, kind of all on keyboard, including the guitar kind of ideas that he had, and all the bass kind of patterns and stuff, and basically Matt then wrote to Ryan's kind of track that he built up. It's a very keyboard, I'd say, and piano-led kind of song, really. and yeah, it was quite cool to kind of try and adapt kind of what he'd done on the piano to guitars, and work our way kind of around the track that he'd built up, basically, which was yeah, it was cool.
Kicking and Screaming off Memory and Humanity was written, I think, over a mainland European tour that we did. Played a bunch of shows, and on our days off we would kind of share rooms with each other, and some of us would, you know, depends on how we were feeling, would write some songs. And Ryan had this idea, but we were sharing a room at the time, and Ryan had this idea. He was working on his keyboard, his mini keyboard on his laptop in the room, and asked me to play some chords to it. And from there, basically the basic idea of the song kind of grew. You know, Chris then, you know, interpreted the parts then in his own unique way, and you know, we recorded those on the back of the bus while in Berlin, and pretty much got the basic idea of the song nailed there. And then lyrically, it's a simple song really. It's about growing up in small town valley communities, South Wales, you know, particularly the golden memories, you know, and yeah, it's maybe it's about longing for the good old days, the innocent days where all you had to worry about is what time you had to be home for tea and handing in your homework on time. So you know, the things we take for granted as adults, you know what I mean? We used to complain so much about these things when we were kids, but now looking back, oh god, they were simple. But no, that's basically the song, Kicking and Screaming, pretty much growing up around these streets, you know, so there we go.
Okay, No Honor Among Thieves. One of the 4 brand new songs that's going to be on this compilation of our previous work, and I think it's, you know, it's us showing everyone that, you know, by no means is this compilation what could be considered a best of, if you like, an end to the band or us winding down or anything. It's basically us just finishing a chapter, and these 4 songs signify the beginning of the next chapter. And Honor Among Thieves is a fairly aggressive song, and as are all the 4 songs that were written, the new songs. And I think it's a very powerful song, and it's very sort of interesting lyrically, where Matt kind of just, I think, approached some quite different things to what he has done in the past, and he's branching out and looking for new influences, I think, on his vocal kind of approach, and I think it's a real exciting song, and I think everyone's going to love it.
Built to Last is one of the 4 new songs we recorded for the anthology Your History Is Mine, and was an idea that was initially created by Gav, having him join the band as a fan. Looking at it from the outside in was a great influx of ideas for us, and really reinstilled the passion for making music for us. And it's fantastic. The guitar interplay is amazing. The structure of the song is fantastic. The vocal stuff is amazing. You know, Gavin's a really strong singer as well, and having him, giving him the opportunity to shine on the songs as well is something I'm a big fan of. You know, I don't really consider myself the front man of the band. I just consider myself an instrument, you know, that goes on with the guitars, the bass, and the drums. And you know, Gavin's voice is another instrument that is to be used. And it works well. I think our voices work really well together, and no, it's quite a long song. It's an epic feel to it, you know what I mean? It's like, again, like like your Roses for the Dead, like your Red Is the New Black, and it has those similar themes, along the lines. It's not totally aggressive, but it's got bite. It's got a muscular feel to it. So it's quite powerful. Very, very powerful song.
Okay, Wrench, another one of the new songs we've put onto this compilation. It's basically what could be considered a single of this compilation. Some good airplay and a very exciting, almost punky kind of edge to this song. Chris was just jamming one day in a rehearsal and come up with basically the main riff of the song, and we all kind of immediately when we heard it thought it's really cool and really different for things we've done in the past. So as I say, it's fast, it's kind of aggressive, and there's an element of us coming full circle, I think, with this song, and as far as us taking some of those early influences that we had and we used on our first kind of bunch of songs we wrote and releases, and definitely shows that aggressive side of us. But I think where it's different is that we've had the chance through making the records we have and learning along the way how to write a lot better and put the song together a lot better, and therefore I think this kind of definitely qualifies as being, this. The case with this song Wrench is that it's got those early, fiery, aggressive influences. It's also got a maturity about songwriting that we've learned along the way. So there you go, Wrench.
Captains of Industry is the last song on Your History's Mine and the last of the 4 new tracks, and it's basically written by the rest of the guy. I hear the music, I had the music sent to me, and listen to it on my laptop, and running through vocal ideas and lyrics and stuff, looking for things to kind of to fit into place. And I felt like the time that I was writing a bit more lyrically, a bit more of a social conscious again, running along themes, or I'd maybe approached on the Hours record, touched on again with a little more force on Memory and Humanity, and continuing trying to adapt those and bring in a bit more of a kind of a world view of things, of more important things, I think, and rather than just boy meets girl lyrics, which I think I kind of done away with more or less on the first album. It's about the working class. It's about the kind of everyday people that I grew up with, that I knew, that I lived with, through the years, that I still live with now, really, because I live in a working class community, and I think those things are quite important for me, because those people are the backbone of the country, I think, and the countries and the industry, that we have. And I don't think people, acknowledge their influence and their hard work enough. It's always taken for granted, I think. And I think the workers and the working class communities need a bit more kind of, a bit more support, I think, in modern times, I think, with the way specifically the economy is being hit. And they're the lifeblood of who we are, really, of where we stand as people. So, and I think that's quite important to address, and I felt it was quite important to address that with these particular songs and with my lyrics. So musically, it's quite a very dynamic song. The outro has a very classic kind of funeral style outro, very dreamy, very space rock. I love the rhythm shifts in the midsection, the middle of the outro, and the vocal lines, which are kind of an homage to our good friends in a band called Hopes Fall, who are sadly no longer together, but who influenced us greatly over the years of what we've been doing in Funeral for a Friend, and their musical contribution to what we do is show itself in various forms over the years, and I think it's a nice little touch, and something we don't get to do very often, because it's like a vocal solo. So not that I care too much for those, to be honest with you, but it's nice to have it in there. So yeah, Captains of Industry, fantastic tune.
We're the captains of industry. We're the captains of industry. We're the captains of industry.